WWL Radio, Mickey Loomis claiming the Saints players have quit on the season is unsophisticated and lazy. Ooh, strong words for Mickey. So I've heard a lot about this interview. Apparently there's quite a few sound bites in here. So I'm excited to hear it. This is post-Lions loss, post-fans booing, post all that stuff. So Mickey, the heat has to be getting cranked up at some point if you're the general manager of this team. After watching what's happening on the field, and now you're watching what's happening off the field with the fans, and you are hearing loud and clear, the boos from the fans were, yes, they were at Derek Carr, no doubt about it. But they were also at Mickey Loomis for bringing Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael back for another season and a bevy of other reasons. So I would think in this interview, Mickey is going to have to answer to some of that.
Just a stunning beginning. I don't know that I've, at least in recent memory, been a part of a 21-0 with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. I mean, it was just.
I had a commenter, I believe, said this was the fastest 21-0 kind of situation, maybe in Saints history or maybe in NFL history. I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, it was insanely quick how fast it all happened.
Just, it was stunning.
Yeah, it's hard to think about positives when you lose a game, right? But it's what we try to do. We try to think about the things that we did well, and as well as the things that we didn't do well. But it was an odd game in that regard because the first 7.
I've been saying that. Okay, so I've been saying, glad to see Mickey's watching the videos. I've been saying that it was an odd game if you look at it from positives and negatives and the win and all, how it all transpired, because there were a lot of positives in the very micro kind of situation. If you're watching just the game, if you're watching play by play, there were a lot of positives. Not a positive, the result. Not a positive, 21-0. No doubt about that. But on a very granular level, maybe the most positive performance from the offense.
In minutes, as you said, everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and we're down 21-0, and against a really good team. And so, man, that's a tough road to hoe. And yet we gave ourselves a chance to win the game in the fourth quarter. So I was proud of our team for that. Proud of the way we fought back and fought through adversity. The things that have kept us from winning games, which is really red zone scoring, we were 4 for 4 in. And so that was positive.
Yep.
I think this is the first game that we've had that I can recall anyway recently that we were in the negative category in takeaways and turnovers. So that wasn't good. And yet, man, the first one, the interception, look, it's a ricochet off the hands of a receiver that you expect.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about it all the time. I talk about how random interceptions can be, how random turnovers can be, how a lot of the times interceptions, it's just a quarterback stat. Like Derek Carr just gets a 1 in that column for that interception. But should Jawan Johnson get some kind of stat? Should he get some kind of, drop pass led to interception? That's why, in a year from now, in 2 months from now, in a week from now, when we're going back and looking at Derek Carr's numbers, we're just going to see a number. We're just going to see 11 interceptions on the season. We're not going to see 8 interceptions his fault, 3 interceptions his fault. So this is another example of how turnovers can be random and how turnovers have to be looked at much deeper than just a blanket number.
And he would expect to catch, and it goes right into the hands of their DB, and so they're in our territory right away. So that was disappointing. Listen, you have to overcome that, and I thought that
it's something to think about just in the comments or just on your own. The interception, the pick 6 against Atlanta with Jesse Bates, and then the interception with Detroit. Those are both just interceptions. Those are both just one interception in the stat category, right? But those are 2 very different plays from Derek Carr. Those are 2 very different situations from him. One of those is his fault, didn't see the guy, threw it right into the defender's chest. The other one hit the receivers in the hands. So
we did a really good job from the second quarter on of both defensively and offensively of getting back in the game. Look, it was from that point on, it was 28-12 in our favor. And so that's a good sign against a good football team. But at the end of the day, it's a loss.
So I'm going to make a statement, and you don't even have to respond to it, because I'm going to answer the statement, because I get asked this all the time. The media is talking about it all the time, and that has, the generic has this team quit on the coach. And to me, if it's 21-0 and your team has quit on that coach, the end of that game is 56-3.
I got to disagree with them there, okay? Because the players, it does look like they kind of have quit on Dennis Allen. Maybe not quit, but it does look like there's a problem with Dennis Allen and the players. It does look like there is a disconnect between the players and the coaches. We've heard about it we've heard of it kind of in sound bites and interviews and some of their answers, some of their actions on Twitter, some of that stuff where the players are kind of pointing at the preparation. The players are kind of pointing at the game plan. They are kind of pointing at the coaches. So I'm not totally certain that they haven't kind of written off Dennis Allen. We'll say written off, not quit, because quitting on them, a totally different connotation. Written Dennis Allen off. What the players 100% did not do is quit on each other or quit on the city or quit on the fans. If they would have done either one of those, yeah, the game ends up 56-3. But I think you can get away with the performance they had with just writing off the coaches, banding together, playing together, unifying, hearing the city, playing for the city, and that's why you saw the players play as hard as they did. But I do think there is a chance, a really good chance, we're talking 90+% here, that the players have written off Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael, and they're already mentally, I don't think Dennis and Pete have the command of the locker room as a head coach and OC should right now.
Coach, you've not averaged 6 points giving up in the second half of the last 5 games. You don't quit temporarily. You either quit or you don't quit. So to me, it's kind of a pointless question because 21-0 is the perfect opportunity to quit. They ain't quit. They ain't hung as tough as they've ever hung. And again, you don't even have to respond because I've answered the question, I feel like, but it is out there.
Look, there's no... we don't have to mince words here. Like, WWL is a pro-Saints basically run radio station. Of course he's not going to, this is Mike Haas, of course he's not going to come out there and say the players have quit on Dennis Allen, the players have quit, all that stuff. His answer to the question, I don't think is good enough, to be honest. His answer to the question is dismissive of the question, is dismissive of the idea that Dennis Allen could have lost the locker room or the players could basically just not respect him, any of those words. And I think that's a very valid question at this point in the season. Why would the players respect Dennis Allen? Why would Dennis Allen or Pete Carmichael have any kind of command over that locker room? Why would the players care what Allen or Carmichael is saying or doing? I don't think they do. And I think let me make this loud and clear. I don't think Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael are coming back, regardless of what we do towards the end of the season. If we win 10 games, win the division, get rolled in the playoffs, they're still gone. I've said it once, I'll say it a million times. I can see Pete Carmichael retiring, I can see Pete Carmichael mutually leaving, and I can see Dennis going back to a DC somewhere else. Fine. Okay? I think they're gone. And I think the players know that. The players reference being ill-prepared, they reference game plan, they reference preparation, they reference execution, they reference all that stuff way too much for them to still be one-on-one, like lined up with this coaching staff. So I'm going to have to push back on Mike Haas's answer here. I think they have written off our coaches, and they're strictly playing now. And this whole like 21-point comeback he's talking about, that gives even more validation to what I've been saying. That the players heard the fans, played for the fans, played for each other. I mean, I don't know if y'all have ever been on a sports team that's done this, but I remember like my high school baseball team, we had like a players only kind of meeting. And in that meeting, we were basically saying like, screw this coach, F him. He's a clown. Don't worry about what he's saying. Don't worry about what he's doing. Worry about these players right here. Like worry about this. Worry about these guys right here. Worry about the guys in the trenches. And if you've ever been in that situation, it's pretty common. Pretty common for a situation or for a scenario like this to be playing out. So I think that's exactly what the Saints have done, because every single interview we hear, the Saints players always say the players are good. The locker room is good as far as those players. Coaches, they don't say too much about that.
Yeah, well, that's just unsophisticated and lazy journalism.
Listen, Mickey, I know journalism, okay? I was a former crime reporter for a Pulitzer Prize winning newspaper, covered multiple high-level homicide trials, interviewed Nancy Pelosi, interviewed Robin Roberts twice, drove Sinbad to the airport twice. I don't need Mickey Loomis to be sitting here telling me about sophisticated journalism.
To be honest with you,
Right.
That's someone that either didn't watch the game or doesn't understand the game, and probably a lot of both. Yeah.
And so here we are, 5 games left, 5-7. You've actually, at this point last year we're 4-8 and fell to 4-9, and then so it was a strong finish by your team. And there's not at this point
a strong finish last year. Michael, we lost the last game of the season against Carolina. We had we lost to, who was it? Was it Sam Darnold? Someone double check me. I think Sam Darnold was a starting quarterback. I think he had 60 yards passing. We got smoked at home. I didn't even go to the game. We just sat. I don't even think I watched it. I just sat. Just season's over. Finish strong, please.
Point. You just do what's in front of you. You take what you have. You work with what you have. You get better with what you didn't do the previous week, and you fight through the injuries and see what happens with Derek Carr. I mean, it kind of is what it is at this point.
Yeah, look, there's still.
It is what it is at this point. What are you talking about? That is not good enough. I mean, can you imagine? Well, I guess we can imagine. We're hearing it. But as a fan, can you imagine going through what we've gone through, watch this team, ups and downs, all that stuff, the hope, the hopium that we're all enjoying on a regular basis, and then to hear, it is what it is. Oh, well, I'll tell you what it is. It's the most disappointing season I think I've seen as a Saints fan. It is the highest collection of talent that has delivered the lowest collection of results. That's what it is. So if we're just calling it is what it is. It is the worst coaching job I've ever seen in the NFL. It's the worst play calling I've ever seen in the NFL. It's a complete failure on the organization, and it's a complete failure on Mickey Loomis as a GM. So if we're just calling things, it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, go in the comments below and let me know. Throw something out there, and don't be afraid to let us know it is what it is after your scorching hot take. But I mean, just another crazy statement from Mike Haas here.
There's still lots to play for. We've got all of our goals and dreams are still available to reach, and so I think Dennis said this after the game, is that we have to just keep chopping, keep fighting.
Keep chopping. Dennis, you are 2 games under 500 with the easiest schedule the NFL has ever assembled. All right. You might want to switch the axe or whatever you're using to chop down that tree, my guy. You might want to try a different angle, okay? If you're just hacking at the tree at this angle, how about we switch it up a little bit, because it ain't working. I don't know if you weren't watching the Lumberjack game circa 2003, but the tree should have already been chopped down by now. We shouldn't be 2 games under 500 saying, just keep going, guys, just keep fighting, just keep chopping. Incorrect, Dennis. It's time to change things up.
Because there's good things that can happen. We've seen flashes of it, and we just need more of it. That's the honest truth. And I believe we can do that. I do, with all my heart.
And Olave, to me, the impressive part is they were going to be targeting on Olave because you felt like he was going to be the guy that the Saints would go to, yet he still has a huge game. And then with Graham, just from a fan standpoint, people would want to know he's played 3 plays and he's got 2 touchdowns. Should there be?
Yeah, it sounds like we need to play more plays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a fan, so
yep.
It's just I'm doing the math.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, look, I think we're a team that has a lot of options.
I'm curious what Mickey's going to say whenever we're out of contention. He and Dennis Allen too, because they keep saying everything's in front of us. We can still do this. We just keep going, just keep pushing. We can get there. Our hopes and dreams this, our hopes and dreams that. But what are they going to say when it's over? What are they going to say whenever the season's over, or we're out of the playoffs, or we can't win the division, or we drop another game? Is that when we're going to see Mickey shift? Is that when we're going to see kind of everything shift to getting ready for next year? Because it's crazy that we're this much in a backs against the wall situation where you got to win 5 in a row. You got to beat 3 divisional opponents and then the Giants and the Rams. We're in that situation. We're hearing it's all right there. We just got to keep moving forward. When it's like, well, it's actually a bit more of a pressure-packed situation than that.
Relative to offense and guys we can get the ball to, particularly when we're healthy. Because Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill and Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson, we've got guys, Rashid. So we've got guys on our team that can make plays. It's interesting because, look, when you're playing a team and you're developing your plan on how you're going to defend a team, you're trying to take away the things that they like to do best. And we were able to, for the most part, take away one of their wide receivers, Amon St. Brown. And yet, man, Sam Laporta stepped up and had 9 catches, and we didn't have an answer for him. So I think that, when teams play us, it's the same situation. Yes, you might.
I talk about this all the time too, but the Saints can't. They are the worst when it comes to, well, we did this right, but then this thing just happened. And if this one thing over here didn't happen, like, how many games do you see where a team completely covers everybody? Like, there are games that people beat the Dolphins where Tyreek Hill sells 120 yards. Like, the Saints are about, like, that game Whack-A-Mole? The Saints are all about, like, pushing down one of their problems, and then another problem pops up. And they're like, oop, that's why we lost. And then they push that one down, and then another one pops up. Like, you'll never have a game where you have no penalties, you have no turnovers, you stop every single one of their weapons, you run the ball well, you rush the passer, you have, 80% third down. Like, it can't be like that. People beat the Chiefs when Travis Kelce has a good game. People beat teams when their best players have good games. It's not we lost because, we stopped Amon-Ra St. Brown, but Sam Laporta, I mean, he went off, but, so if we would have stopped both of them, maybe we win the game. So, well, yeah, of course, if you blank their entire offense, but that never happens. The Saints have to, and that is culture. That comes from the head coach. That is why it's even more obvious that this coaching staff doesn't have it. Because that is what a coach does. A coach has a culture and builds a philosophy and builds a strategy into a team that you win games. You win games where one of their best players goes off. You win one possession games. You win games where you don't have the time of possession, or you may lose the turnover battle, or you may have a ton of penalties or something. You still find a way to win. These coaches aren't winners. Their whole career shows you that. Dennis Allen is the opposite of a winner. He has proven that almost 70 times now, as far as his entire record, combined. He's proven that throughout his career. So we have to bring people in who can win. Like the Cincinnati Bengals. They just won a game with Jake Browning on the road against the Jaguars. They're a bunch of winners. That's a winning culture. The Bengals are used to winning. The players around them, they're used to winning. And look what happened. Jake Browning hasn't won a football game since he was in college. And he goes on the road on Monday Night Football, and they beat the Jaguars. Winning teams find a way to win.
I'd be able to take away one of our better options, and yet we have a number of options.
The Lions were in town. We've seen a lot of teams that travel well. Pittsburgh travels well. Lions traveled well and had very, very good seats. What I think was atypical for me to see with the number of fans from the other team was where they sat, which was
this was definitely something I noticed. This was definitely something that was new. I've seen teams travel well, and it's usually in the lower bowl. It's usually on the lower bowl on the away sideline. It's usually where the opposing colors are. The Lions fans were sitting where Saints fans usually sit. There were a lot of blue jerseys in a lot of places that you usually wouldn't see them. So this is definitely a thing. 100%. The Lions traveled insanely well, but they were also in areas that you don't see opposing teams too much.
It was lower bowl behind their other team's bench, which means they pretty much had their choice of where they wanted to sit. It was the Saints were able to shut them down in the second half from a fan standpoint, but it was just kind of an atypical situation for me.
Yeah, I would say this. Look, we're used to having a large number of Saints fans at some of our opponent.
When at certain times it felt like an away game. When the Lions fans were doing their chants, when they were chanting all the stuff they're catchphrases or whatever. Like it was loud enough to where, at least for me, I was almost thinking like, I'm in enemy territory here.
Away games. We're not used to having that volume of visiting fans at our games. And so I would say, look, our stadium sold out on a season basis. That's disappointing to have, that many tickets that are resold and given to visiting fans. But look, I understand it. I mean, I understand the economics of it. I understand that, season tickets are expensive and, you can't go to every game. And so, pick and choose to sell some. But I was a little caught off guard by the volume, as you said, in the lower bowl. That was unusual. And look, I understand it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it.
So this was the answer I saw all over Twitter. This is very tone deaf by Mickey, because what's disappointing, Mickey, is that the Saints have put a product on the field so bad that one of the most loyal fan bases in the NFL are selling their tickets. Season ticket holders are selling their tickets because they don't want to go to these games, because they're so tired of this product. That is on you as a GM. The roster you've built, the coaches you've brought in, the lack of moves you've made, all of that is the reason that they are selling those tickets. That's a direct reflection of the product. It has nothing to do with economics. It has nothing to do with making their money back for the season tickets. Nothing to do with any of that. What it has to do with is that this fan base does not like this team. They don't like the direction of the team. They don't like the coaches in charge. They don't like the lack of moves. They don't like sitting around seeing Doug Peterson almost hired and then gets a phone call interview. They don't like seeing Eric Bieniemy go to Washington. They don't like seeing Mike McDaniel go to Miami whenever we decide to go with Dennis Allen. They don't like the fact that Dennis Allen's the head coach. They don't like the fact that Pete Carmichael's been in this building for 20 years and no one knows what he does still. No one even knows what his job is. No one even knows if his microphone is plugged in. All right? They don't like any of that. They don't like that Lamar Jackson was available in the offseason and we're sitting here with Derek Carr. They don't like watching Matt Stafford go to the Rams, seeing the Rams make a huge quarterback acquisition, win a Super Bowl, and then we're sitting here with a franchise quarterback who at this point right now is just a worse version of Andy Dalton. The fans don't like watching Ian Book on primetime. The fans don't like watching Trevor Siemian rotate out with whoever else. It's been a rough couple of years as far as the product. And now we get this season. Easiest schedule in the NFL. We haven't won a game in a month. Ruined Thanksgiving for a lot of people. So that's the problem. And this answer right here I thought was just crazy. I mean, I'm not going to lie, guys. I have been very positive about the future of the team and the outlook of the team and the talent and the roster and all that stuff. But when you hear something like this from your GM, it makes me feel like we're not in great hands right now. It feels like Mickey isn't seeing what he should be seeing. And I don't know if he's just a lip service thing. Pause. I don't know if it's just one of those things where he's saying this and he doesn't mean it. It's just like, he's playing nice until the offseason. If Mickey is watching this product for the last 2 years and he's sitting there and he's saying, why are people selling tickets? If he doesn't get it, he's so far on a different page than the rest of us. That's not good, because the rest of the Saints fans are in a stage where there was basically a mutiny in the first quarter. Derek Carr is hated. Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael are hated. Like, everyone understands the same thing. We need new coaches. We need a new vision. We need a new culture. We need a new philosophy. We need a new scheme. We need all that new stuff. The only person that's not on board is the person whose job it is to make those decisions, Mickey Loomis. So this answer right here is very troubling if you're a Saints fan.
Right. It's kind of like, the early booing. I understand it. Look, one of the things that we have here is a very, very passionate fan base. I appreciate that. Our fans care. They want to win. We've set a high standard for that. And when we don't win, it can become emotional. look, our team's fighting. They're fighting to and giving everything they can to win a game. Every player is. And the booing doesn't help us. It certainly doesn't help us. And I know as a fan.
That's another thing, too. Like, it's not the result. It's not the losing. The losing obviously is a part of it, but it's more the fact of that we had Sean Payton and we had Drew Brees, and Mickey has done nothing to replace that. He's hired from within with, I mean, two complete clowns. Like, it's the fact that we had these huge, massive holes. I always use this analogy, but it's like if we had two massive holes in the roof and we're sitting there getting rained on, and the guy who's supposed to fix the house keeps putting up like little like plastic wrap and being like, this is perfect, this is fine, what's the problem? While we're just getting soaking wet. Like, after a while of just getting soaking wet and the plastic wrap not working, it's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to stay in this house. I mean, does anybody do a metaphor like me, ladies and gentlemen? Does anybody just fire off the metaphors?
Myself of teams, I understand that, yeah, I can be angry and boo, but I'm not helping my team doing that. And so,
but we are, because if the fans are loud enough, and if the fans let their, you know, how much they're not happy about things, if they let that out there and they let it known and changes happen, the boos are helping the team.
Look, it is what it is. But again, fans have the right to do that. They have the right to express themselves. They're paying lots of money to come watch our team, and they can certainly boo, but I don't have to like it. Yeah, we'll be ready.
And finally, the Saints, Atlanta, and Tampa all each have 5 games left, 3 division games. 2 of your 3 are home, 2 of their 3 both are on the road. I mean, it is what it is. You work for what is attainable until somebody tells you it's no longer attainable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Lots of things can happen. Lots of good things can happen.
5 things better happen. We better beat the Panthers. We better beat the Giants. We better beat the Rams. We better beat the Bucks, and we better beat the Falcons. Because if those 5 things don't happen, then the hopes and the dreams and the goals of whatever Mickey's talking about, winning the NFC South, hosting a playoff game, if those 5 things don't happen, none of that can happen. So Mickey better hope those 5 things happen
going forward. And so we'll be ready for that. And I'm positive about our team. There's a lot of things I'm positive about. The only thing I'm not positive about is our record.
Wow. I mean, you can't be positive about the punting and the kicking. You can't be positive about the coaching. You can't be positive about the play calling. You can't be positive about the pass rush. You can't be positive about the run defense. You can't be positive about our ability to run the football. And you can't be positive about the $150 million Andy Dalton cost player that you have as a franchise quarterback. So this is a tough interview for Mickey. I mean, I understand that this is a lot of just false answers, a lot of just getting stuff out there, a lot of just whatever. But this, I hope Mickey doesn't believe a lot of what he's saying, because these are some tough answers. Let me know in the comments below what you think, ladies and gentlemen, throughout the entire interview. What do you disagree with or agree with? I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be disagreeing with what Mickey had to say today. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much for helping grow this channel into what is now the fastest growing channel in New Orleans sports media. I will see you in the next video.